Give me 20 minutes and I'll destroy your procrastination. But before that, I need to tell you about Maria, a brilliant executive who lost a 300,000 Brazilian reals promotion because she couldn't finish a 3-page report. 3 pages she could have written in her sleep, but that sat in her drawer for 2 whole months. And you know what's scarier? Maria is not lazy. She wakes up at 5 a.m., works out, manages a team of 15 people, and solves complex problems every day. But when it came to that specific report, something inside her brain just switched off. Does this sound familiar? Because if you're here watching this video, you've probably felt the same devastating sensation, knowing exactly what you need to do, having all the skills to do it, yet still getting paralyzed in front of the computer screen, watching random videos while the deadline approaches like a tsunami. The brutal truth is that procrastination is not about laziness. It's about terror. A terror so primitive that you don't even notice it's controlling every decision you make. I'm going to show you something that will turn your world upside down. Inside your brain, right this moment, there's a silent war happening between 2 completely different parts of who you are. On one side, you have the amygdala, a primitive part of your brain that evolved millions of years ago to keep you alive when saber-toothed tigers were a real threat. This amygdala doesn't understand deadlines, careers, or dreams. It only understands survival. And when you face a task that could lead to judgment, failure, or rejection, it sets off a deafening alarm: danger. Run. Escape. On the other side, you have the prefrontal cortex, the most evolved part of your brain, responsible for logic, planning, and rational decision-making. It knows the importance of that project, understands the consequences of not doing it, and lays out detailed plans to execute everything perfectly. But here's the first devastating secret nobody tells you. In a direct battle between the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex, the amygdala always wins. Always. Because it has direct access to the nervous system, to stress hormones, to adrenaline. It can literally hijack your entire body in milliseconds. And what does the prefrontal cortex do when it loses this battle? It doesn't admit defeat. Instead, it becomes the biggest liar in your life. It starts crafting elaborate excuses. I'll do this tomorrow when I'm more rested. I need to research more before I start. I don't have the right environment to work right now. These aren't your excuses. They're your brain's excuses, trying to protect your ego from the unbearable truth. You are afraid. But afraid of what, exactly? Here's where it gets even darker. Your brain has developed a terrifying ability to turn any task into an existential threat. Need to write an important email? Your brain translates, what if I write something stupid and everyone thinks I'm incompetent? Have to give a presentation? What if I freeze in front of everyone and my career is over? The cruelest part is that the more important the task, the stronger the fear. That's why you can spend hours replying to WhatsApp messages, but can't open that one document that could change your life. WhatsApp isn't a threat. That document represents everything you could lose. And while you're stuck in this paralysis, something even more destructive is happening inside your nervous system. Your brain is being hijacked by 2 different types of dopamine, and this difference explains why you can spend 4 hours on Instagram but can't stay focused for 4 minutes on what really matters. Phasic dopamine is like a shot of instant pleasure. Every notification, every funny video, every like on social media triggers a little explosion of this substance in your brain. It's fast, intense, and addictive. Your brain starts craving the next dose, and suddenly you're stuck in an endless spiral of distraction. Tonic dopamine, on the other hand, is completely different. It's released slowly, in a sustained way, when you're genuinely engaged in something meaningful. It's what allows you to get lost in a project for hours, in what scientists call a flow state. The problem is that phasic dopamine is stronger, more immediate, more seductive. It literally hijacks the receptors of tonic dopamine, leaving you unable to feel pleasure from the activities that truly build your life. That's why after a 3-hour TikTok session, you feel empty, guilty, and more unmotivated than before. You drained your capacity for real satisfaction and wasted it on small hits of artificial pleasure. And there's yet another cruel layer to this equation. Every time you give in to procrastination, you're not just postponing a task. You're sending a devastating message to your subconscious: I don't trust myself to do what I promise. With every broken promise to yourself, your self-esteem erodes, your confidence is destroyed, until you reach a point where you don't even believe you're capable of change anymore. If you're recognizing yourself in this description and feeling that tightness in your chest, that mix of relief for finally understanding what's happening and despair for realizing the size of the problem, don't leave this video. If you're enjoying this explanation, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because in the next few minutes I'll show you not only how to break this cycle, but how to completely reprogram the way your brain reacts to important tasks. Because there is a way to make the amygdala work for you instead of against you. There is a way to train your prefrontal cortex to stop lying and start executing. And there is a way to regain control over your dopamine, transforming it from an enemy into a powerful ally. I'm going to tell you about the day I discovered the darkest secret of procrastination. It was when I realized that Maria, that executive who lost the promotion, wasn't running away from work. She was running away from something much scarier, the possibility of discovering that maybe she wasn't as competent as she thought. This is the second loop I need to solve for you. Why does our brain prefer the pain of procrastination over the risk of trying and failing? The answer will leave you speechless. When you postpone an important task, your brain is making a macabre calculation. It's weighing two pains, the pain of trying and possibly failing versus the pain of not trying and living with guilt. And as strange as it seems, for many people, the second option feels less threatening. Because if you don't try, you can still hold on to the illusion that you would be capable. But if you try and fail, the illusion dies. And for a brain that evolved to protect our identity and social status, that death of illusion represents an existential threat. But here's where things get even more disturbing. Every time you procrastinate, you're not just avoiding a task. You're training your nervous system to associate important challenges with mortal danger. You're literally reprogramming your neural circuits to see growth opportunities as survival threats. And that explains why procrastination is progressive. Why it gets worse over time. Why tasks that used to be normal now feel like insurmountable mountains. Your brain is getting better and better at detecting dangers where none exist. I'm going to show you how the vicious cycle that is destroying your productivity works right now. First, you see an important task. Immediately, your amygdala sets off the danger alarm. You feel that familiar sensation in your stomach, anxiety, nausea, muscle tension. Your body is preparing to fight or flee from a saber-toothed tiger that doesn't exist. Second move, your prefrontal cortex steps in with excuses. This isn't the right time, I need to be more prepared, I'll do it after lunch when I have more energy. These justifications sound rational, but they're just your conscious mind trying to save your dignity. Third move, you seek immediate relief. You grab your phone, open Instagram, YouTube, anything to calm your panicked nervous system. And it works. For a few minutes, you feel better. The anxiety fades, the tension relaxes. Your brain interprets this as, I successfully escaped the danger. Fourth move, guilt hits like a wave. You know you shouldn't be doing this. You know you're wasting time. But now you have two pains to deal with. The original pain of the difficult task plus the pain of guilt from procrastinating. The result? You procrastinate even more to escape the guilt. And so the cycle feeds itself. Each episode of procrastination strengthens the neural circuits that associate important work with mortal danger. Each successful escape teaches your brain that avoiding challenges is the right survival strategy. But here comes the first twist that will change everything. What if I told you that you can use this same primitive programming of your brain in your favor? What if we could reprogram your amygdala to see procrastination as the threat and action as safety? That's exactly what happened to Carlos, a lawyer who spent 6 months postponing a case that could save his firm from bankruptcy. For half a year, he created the most elaborate excuses. He needed more research, had to wait for the right time, consult other specialists. Until one day, something clicked in his head. Instead of focusing on the fear of doing the case wrong, he started concentrating on the terror of doing nothing. He visualized the firm shutting down, employees unemployed, his reputation destroyed, his family struggling. For the first time, inaction became scarier than action. In 2 weeks, Carlos finished the case he had avoided for 6 months. And not only did he finish, he did an exceptional job that saved the firm and brought him 3 new important clients. This is the key most people never discover. You need to make your primitive brain work for you, not against you. You need to train your amygdala to set off alarms when you're not taking action, not when you are. But how to do this in practice? How to reprogram millions of years of evolution in just a few weeks? The answer lies in a technique I call fear inversion. Instead of trying to overcome the fear of action, you're going to cultivate an even greater fear of inaction. You'll train your nervous system to associate procrastination with pain and action with relief. Think of it this way, Your amygdala is like an overprotective bodyguard who sees danger everywhere. You can't convince it there's no danger, but you can teach it about a greater danger. You can show it that standing still is more dangerous than moving. Third loop we need to solve. Why can some people achieve this reprogramming in days while others take years? The difference lies in a single word that most people use incorrectly when talking about motivation. This word has the power to turn any boring task into an urgent mission. It can make you jump out of bed at 5 a.m. with more energy than coffee. And it can convert your chronic procrastination into unstoppable productivity. But it can also be the reason you're stuck in this cycle for so long. Because the way most people think about this word is completely wrong, and it's sabotaging all their efforts to change. In the next few minutes, I'll reveal what that word is and how to use it correctly. I'll show you the 7 exact techniques I use to help more than 50,000 people destroy procrastination. And I'll give you the step-by-step system that can transform your life in less than 21 days. The word that is sabotaging your life is motivation. And the way you think about it is completely wrong. Most people believe that motivation is something you feel, that you need to wait for it to arrive, that it comes and goes like the tides of the ocean. That's why they keep waiting for the right day, the ideal mood, the divine inspiration to start acting. And while they wait, life passes by, opportunities are lost, and dreams die slowly. But here's the truth that will blow your mind. Motivation is not a feeling. It's a skill. And like any skill, it can be developed, trained, and mastered through specific techniques. The second twist that will forever change your perspective: the most productive people in the world don't feel more motivation than you. They simply learn to act regardless of what they feel. They develop the ability to do what needs to be done even when they don't feel like it at all. Let me show you exactly how this works through the 7 techniques that have transformed the lives of thousands of people. But first, I need to warn you, this goes against everything you've learned about productivity and self-help. Technique 1. Fear mapping. Take a sheet of paper and write down exactly what you're afraid of regarding that task you've been avoiding. Not generic thoughts like fear of failure. Be brutally specific. I'm afraid my boss will read my proposal and think I'm incompetent. I'm afraid my presentation will be a disaster and everyone in the office will talk about it. I'm afraid of starting the diet and failing once again, proving I have no willpower. Why does this work? Because when you name your fears, you take away their power over you. What is hidden in the subconscious has absolute power. What is exposed to the light of consciousness can be faced and overcome. Technique 2. Temporal inversion. Here's where the magic happens. Instead of imagining the consequences of trying and failing, you're going to visualize the consequences of not trying. Close your eyes and transport yourself 5 years into the future. What will your life look like if you keep procrastinating? What opportunities will you have lost? What version of yourself will you have become? Feel the pain of that alternative reality. Let it burn in your soul. Now, your amygdala will begin to associate inaction with real danger and action with relief. Technique 3. The 2 imperfect minutes rule. Forget perfection. Forget elaborate planning. Commit to working on the task for exactly 2 minutes in a completely imperfect way. Not 5 minutes, not until it's done. Just 2 minutes. Why does it work? Because the biggest obstacle is not completing the task. It's starting. Once you break the initial inertia, your brain enters a completely different state. Resistance decreases, flow increases, and often you'll find yourself continuing to work far beyond those 2 minutes. Technique 4. The dopamine hijack. Here's the secret no productivity guru tells you. You need to stop fighting against your reward system and start using it strategically. Choose a specific reward you'll give yourself after completing the task. It can't be something you'd normally do anyway. It has to be special, desirable, conditioned on finishing the activity. But pay attention, the reward must be planned before starting the task. This makes your brain release anticipatory dopamine, creating genuine motivation for execution. Technique 5. Surgical elimination. Identify your 3 biggest sources of phasic dopamine: Instagram, YouTube, Netflix, games, whatever hijacks your attention. During work periods, it's not enough to rely on willpower to avoid them. You need to make them physically inaccessible. Uninstall the apps, disconnect the Wi-Fi, leave your phone in another room, use site blockers. Your future self will thank you for having made this decision when your mind was clear, because in the middle of temptation, your willpower will fail. Technique 6. Emotional anchoring. Here's the fourth loop I promised to solve. Why can some people sustain lasting change while others go back to old habits in weeks? The difference isn't discipline. It's emotional connection with purpose. You need to connect every task you procrastinate on with something that truly matters in your life. Not superficial goals like, I want to make more money. But deep values, I want to be the kind of person my children admire, I want to prove to myself that I'm capable of change, I want to build something that makes a difference in the world. When you anchor your actions in genuine purposes, motivation stops being external and becomes intrinsic. It stops being something you need to find and becomes something you carry within yourself. Technique 7. The identity system. The most powerful technique of all. Instead of trying to change behaviors, you're going to change your identity. Stop seeing yourself as someone who procrastinates, and start seeing yourself as someone who executes. Every small action you take is evidence of this new identity. Every completed task is a confirmation of who you are becoming. Your brain has a deep psychological need to be consistent with your identity. When you truly see yourself as a productive person, acting productively stops being effort and becomes automatic. The moment of truth has arrived. You have two choices in front of you. You can close this video, go back to what you were doing, and continue being the same person you've always been. Or you can decide that today is the day everything changes. But be careful, knowledge without action is just sophisticated entertainment. And action without a system is just temporary impulse that burns out in days. In the next few minutes, I'll give you the complete system to implement all of this. I'll show you how to create a 21-day plan that can completely rebuild your relationship with productivity. And I'll reveal the final secret that separates those who change their lives from those who only dream of changing. The final secret that separates those who change their lives from those who only dream of changing lies in a revolutionary scientific discovery about neuroplasticity that happened less than 10 years ago. For decades, we believed that our neural patterns were fixed after adolescence. That procrastinators were doomed to stay that way forever. But modern neuroscience has proven that this is a devastating lie. Your brain can be completely reprogrammed in 21 days. I'm not talking about superficial changes. I'm talking about a total reconstruction of the neural circuits that control your response to work, challenges, and opportunities. The key lies in a protein called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. When you force your brain to act against its habitual patterns consistently, this protein is released in massive amounts, creating new neural connections and strengthening the circuits of discipline and focus. But here's the crucial point: this reprogramming only happens if you follow a specific protocol. It's not enough to just try harder. It's not enough to read techniques and hope they work magically. You need a step-by-step system that forces your brain to create new neural patterns. The 21-day system to destroy procrastination. Week 1. Breaking resistance. In the first 7 days, your goal is not maximum productivity. It's breaking the initial resistance that keeps you stuck in the cycle of procrastination. Day 1 to 2. Complete mapping. List all the tasks you've been avoiding in the last 3 months. For each one, write exactly what you're afraid of. Be brutally honest. No one will see this but you. Day 3 to 4. Choose only one task from the list. The most important one. Apply the 2 imperfect minutes rule daily. Just 2 minutes. The goal is to break inertia, not finish the task. Day 5 to 7. Increase to 5 minutes, but keep the focus on imperfection. Your brain needs to learn that starting does not mean perfection. It needs to associate action with safety, not threat. Week 2. Building momentum. Now that you've broken the initial resistance, it's time to build real momentum. Day 8 to 10. Implement intentional reward systems. For every 15-minute work block, give yourself a specific reward you planned beforehand. It could be 10 minutes of a series, a special snack, a conversation with a friend. The important thing is to condition your brain to associate work with pleasure. Day 11 to 14. Introduce the emotional anchoring technique. Before each work session, spend 2 minutes visualizing why this deeply matters to you. Not superficial goals, but genuine values. Connect with the version of yourself you are building through these actions. Week 3. Neural consolidation. The third week is where the real magic happens. It's when the new neural patterns begin to solidify. Day 15 to 17. Increase work blocks to 25 minutes, Pomodoro technique, but now with full focus. Eliminate all distractions physically. Phone on airplane mode, in another room. Internet disconnected if not essential. Your brain needs to experience what real focus is. Day 18 to 21. Implement the identity system. Before going to sleep, write in one sentence, "Today I acted like someone who your new desired identity." For example, today I acted like someone who executes what they promise. Today I acted like someone disciplined and focused. The emergency protocol for difficult days. Because let's be realistic, you will have days when you won't want to do anything. Days when motivation will be in the basement and procrastination will feel irresistible. For those days, I have an emergency protocol that can save your progress. The 30-second rule. Commit to working for just 30 seconds. Not 2 minutes. Just 30 seconds. It's impossible to fail in 30 seconds. Once you start, you'll often continue. The future regret technique. Visualize how you'll feel tonight if you do nothing today. Feel that pain in advance. Use it as fuel. The physical anchor. Create a specific physical gesture you associate with productivity. It could be clapping your hands 3 times, taking 5 deep breaths, or anything that signals to your brain, now it's time to work. The neural transfer phenomenon. Here's something fascinating that will happen after these 3 weeks. You'll notice that your discipline starts spreading to other areas of life automatically. This happens because discipline is not task-specific. It's a general neural pattern. When you strengthen self-control circuits in one area, they strengthen in all areas. People who completed this protocol reported improvements not only in productivity, but also in diet, exercise, relationships, finances. It's like they found a completely new version of themselves. The truth about relapses. I need to be honest with you about one thing: you will probably have relapses. You'll have days or even weeks when you'll go back to old patterns. And when that happens, your brain will try to convince you that you failed, that there's no hope, that you should give up. This is the most dangerous lie you can believe. Relapses are not failure. They're a normal part of the process of lasting change. What separates those who change their lives permanently from those who return to old habits is how they handle these relapses. When you realize you've gone back to procrastinating, don't torture yourself. Don't waste energy blaming yourself. Simply acknowledge what happened and restart from day 1 of the protocol. Every restart strengthens the new neural circuits more. Every return to the system is evidence that you are someone who does not give up on yourself. The final promise. If you implement this system faithfully for 21 days, you won't just stop procrastinating. You will become a fundamentally different person. Someone who has control over their actions. Someone you can trust. Someone who executes what they promise. And the feeling of being that person, of knowing you are capable of doing what you say you'll do, is one of the most powerful experiences that exist. It's real freedom. It's genuine self-esteem. It's the foundation on which you can build any life you dream of. But remember, knowledge without action is just intellectual entertainment. You can watch 1,000 videos on productivity, read hundreds of books on discipline, know all the techniques in the world. None of that will change your life if you don't act. So here's my final challenge for you. Choose one task you've been procrastinating. Just one. Apply the 2 imperfect minutes rule today. Not tomorrow. Not Monday. Today. And if this video really impacted your life, if you felt you finally understood what has been sabotaging your potential all these years, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment sharing which task you're going to tackle first. When you publicly declare an intention, the chances of execution increase by 300%. Your life is waiting on the other side of your procrastination. And now you have the exact map to get there.